Hey everyone, welcome back to the Humans and AI podcast, exploring the exciting intersection of people and technology. I'm your host, Adi Mazor Kario, product design and AI expert and the creator of an online leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI. And today we're diving into a world of AI for businesses with a focus on ChatGPT, the powerful language model that is making AI accessible to everyone. Joining us is a ChatGPT training expert helping business owners utilize the power of AI to boost their operations and achieve new level of success. Get ready for a conversation packed with actionable insights and practical tips for putting ChatGPT to work for your businesses. And my guest today is Costa.
How you doing,
Hi,
Eddie?
Costa. I'm so happy that you're here. Costa is like here for the second time. Costa Michailidis is the founder and executive director of Innovation Bounds. And he's with me for the second time. I'm so happy that we have this opportunity.
Absolutely, same here.
We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion and ask questions. So we'd love to hear what you think. And now we can start. What are some common misconceptions about ChatGPT for business owners, and what should they be aware of?
Yeah, it's very early, so I think mostly people just don't know what it is, how to use it, what it can do. So uh, I suppose the common misconceptions are emerging now. So I don't know that people are, have got something wrong, but they are right to want to explore. Maybe one somewhat common misconception is that this is trendy. It's a trend. It'll be chatbots for a little while and it'll go away and we'll move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
That's not really true. The progress here is exponential, and we could dive into a whole diatribe on what that means. But the point is that we now have chatbots, and now these chatbots are now browsing the internet and making images for you, and they'll get even more capabilities. And at some point, let's say in probably less than 3 years, they'll be like a remote worker. You just drop them into your company. You can hire an AI, and for pennies on the dollar, they can come in and do the same kind of work a remote worker can do. Software engineering, video editing, anything you could send to a remote worker to do, you'll get AI agents that can do that. So that's kind of the next trend. So in
Yeah.
this in-between space, small businesses have this like insanely unique opportunity. Small business owners are perfectly positioned to capitalize on this. It's insane. Small business got AI for the first time with ChatGPT. Because before that, you needed a big mountain of data. You needed a data scientist. They needed to build an AI model for your particular data. And then that AI they built would only solve a specific problem. So it wasn't worth it for small businesses. They just didn't have access. They didn't have the budgets. So large organizations were using AI in this very tailored way. And it was giving them some interesting and powerful results, especially the tech companies. But now ChatGPT you don't need to be a data scientist to use it. You don't need a giant mountain of your own data. You can tell that custom tool the job you want it to do. Hey, browse the internet and look for places where I can deliver my keynote talk. Give me 50 of them, please. Oh, great. Can you search and find contact people at each of those? Okay, great. And not that it does it perfectly, it makes mistakes, which is something else we can get into. But these tools are accessible to small business owners for the first time. And so you have this incredible opportunity to latch onto them, boost productivity, improve product quality. You can do all kinds of crazy things with these tools. And it's right now. If you wait, what'll happen is it'll become easier to use these tools later, but your competition will be ahead of you. And so
Yeah. And more
kind of
than
can't
that,
wait.
yeah, it's like easy to start. You could start and build your own like resilient capabilities in your companies and kind of easily. So you don't need to do too much training and too much understanding. You need to have basic training of what does it mean,
Mhm.
and that's it. You just need to dive in, and it's easy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not easy is a tricky word there. Like it's not trivial. It's not tell ChatGPT what I want and then it'll do it. It's not. And good, because if it
Yeah.
was, we'd all really be in trouble, right? Run my
Right.
business and make it more profitable. Do
Yeah.
you need the business owner at that point? No.
Yeah.
So it's
If it
not
could do that.
trivial. Yeah, but it's not, you don't need a PhD in AI to use these systems. You need some rough experimentation. Maybe you start with the more tech savvy people in your business and ask them to latch onto this tool and see what they could do with it first before you try and give it to people who are less tech savvy. But just some basic some basic data literacy tools are what you need. And then what we find that's coming from our work, because we were, still are, a creativity and innovation consultancy, is we find the rapid experimentation skills we teach are really valuable here. And so we're discovering best case practices with how do you talk to ChatGPT. It is human-like. You can do human-like conversations, but it's not human, and it's not really doing human intelligence. And so if you know what it actually is doing, which is something we teach in our training programs, you can be a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more skilled at how do you actually interact with this thing to get good answers. And that gives you an advantage. That gives you a good lead over someone kind of starting from scratch, just trying to talk to it.
Yeah. The answers you get could be very general, not precise. Sometimes even there are hallucinations in these like tools. So could you explain first what's hallucinations and how do people interact with these tools right now, and how should they do it better in order to avoid these?
Yeah. So a hallucination is when one of these conversational AI systems gives you an answer with confidently and very politely, tells you something that's totally made up, inaccurate, false. It's not true at all. And
Right.
so they've called that a hallucination because the thing looks like it's doing the same thing it always does, giving you the right answer politely with confidence. And it's like, no, that's totally wrong. And so they're calling those hallucinations. Why do they happen? They happen because um, large language models, the way they are conversational, what they do is they predict the next word based on the words you've given them so far. Now, the reason they can do that is because we took kind of nearly all of the internet. We took a lot of data and then just compressed it into the quote brains of these AI systems. So we looked at the statistical correlations between words. So look at all the Amazon reviews, all of the digitized books, all of Wikipedia in every language, and look at which word follows the 3,000 words before it. And so if you have 3,000 words of context, which is another term, what word comes next? And so if you have this thing about Andrew Carnegie was a business person who yada yada this and that, he was this way with his employees. What's that next word? So if you big chunk of words, what word comes next? So they're designed to do that. Now that's all statistics and all correlation, and it's pretty good if the source material is somewhat accurate. As soon as you go to source material where we don't have good data on something, or it was contentious in the media, so is it this view or that view or something else? You can start to get some of these inaccuracies. It will still say it knows the answer and still mimic like human conversation, but it'll just be way outside of its depth and it won't know what it's talking about because it's just
Right.
statistics under the hood. Now, I will say, do you know any people in your family perhaps who tell you stuff that they read somewhere? It's
And they're
true. Yeah,
sure that's right, right? Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
So we start with forgiveness and then these
Forgiveness.
models will improve quickly.
Maybe you
So
have forgiveness. I'm not sure about me, but okay. Maybe you're more courteous than me. So
that's fun. Yeah, so that's kind of where hallucinations come from. There's something else to say. We mentioned
yeah,
context.
I asked like, what are
Mm,
they doing right now? Because they get these kinds of answers, and sometimes they're not aware of the fact that they're false. And what could they do in order to make sure, other than try
yeah,
to understand if it's true or not, to go to the links
yep,
and see if they exist and so forth?
yeah. Let me. So one more point about the earlier, and then I'll remind me of the question. I'll
Sure.
jump there. So one thing to understand about that statistical correlations between words, like next word prediction, which is what they're doing. One thing to understand is like it's just text. These things have never lived a life. They don't see the world. They don't have vision. They're just trained on text for now. We'll get to other stuff in the future. But what that means is like we don't underline all of our facts and squiggly underline like all of our opinions. There's nothing in the way we write that says fact, opinion, fact, opinion, opinion, fact, sarcasm, irony, fact, opinion, irony, sarcasm. Like we don't do that in our writing. So we may imply what's a fact, what isn't, but we don't like denote it. And so what that means is there's nothing in the text to tell the difference between a source for this information or a citation and an idea for a new product. Like they just look the same to ChatGPT. It has to infer based on the text that's around. So that's kind of why it doesn't know that. It's strictly trained on text. And
Yeah.
then you asked about, sorry, remind me.
Yeah, before I
Mhm.
go to what should they do, I want to say that as I see
Mhm.
it, because ChatGPT is based on the content that humans created, right? And humans, first of all, they don't always know what's the difference between a fact and opinion. This is how they talk, and they're or right, doesn't
Mhm.
matter, in a way that they're sure of themselves, doesn't matter if it's a fact or not. And secondly, people lie, right? They do that,
There's
and
deception.
sometimes yeah, it's like you could say that like 80% of doing sales is a type of
Yeah.
manipulations, and we're selling all the time our ideas, our products, our services, what we want to convey, so forth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
because people think that way, it's like obvious that these machines, based on our experiences and our content,
Mhm.
would I wouldn't say think, but create and export these kinds of ideas, as
Yeah.
I see it, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So, and Elon Musk is right on this one. So there are emergent phenomenon. We train it on text, and it can do something like sentiment analysis. You guys could, hey, in this paragraph, does this person think positive about the thing or negative about the thing? And it'll tell you with high accuracy. Now,
Right.
we never trained it on sentiment analysis. We just gave it next word prediction by crunching a bunch of text. But sentiment analysis it gets for free. So there are some of these higher order skills, human skills, that we would want our A systems to have. Truth seeking is one of them. Maybe the kind of exaggeration we do in sales is also one of them. You can honor some of these. If we want AI systems that work for our spy agencies and we want them to like go out and hack things, which that's a use case. Now, I don't like that we live in a world where that exists because I think it's generally horrible for everybody. But I would prefer more diplomacy and less, spying. Just by volume, we should have way, 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 way more diplomacy, but we don't. Anyway, um, but maybe that's a skill we want them to learn too. So here, truth seeking. I think Elon Musk's right about this. We have to figure out how to get truth seeking behavior in our AI systems. I don't know if we're getting there or not. Love is another one. We have to let these AI systems make music, consume art, and remember it, grow attachment to other AI systems and to humans, experience emotions. We have to do that stuff. If we don't, we risk creating like super powerful tools that have no grounding in humanity. And then like we've lost the script, like pretty much not a good
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I understand. Although, like truth is something very elusive, I would say. It's very hard to understand what's the truth. It depends on where you look at it, right? It's like it's fluid as I see it.
Yeah,
Like I would
it's
see
easy.
one thing, you would see something else, right?
Yeah, it's easier in math, harder in psychology, super hard in culture. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree, it's hard,
it's
but
kind
it's
of
worth
hard.
it. Like the
Like,
best lives are lived. I
yeah,
would say how near maybe
like
making a philosophical statement. I think the
sure.
best lives are lived for
Yeah,
sure.
one of my guests in the past said that we need to create these like AI systems to be moral. What does it mean to be moral? No, no harm, not harming each other, not harming other people. It's very similar to Asimov rules. Do you remember the books of
There's three.
Asimov?
I
That
don't I don't remember the three, but yes,
yeah, it's
there are.
like telling robots not to hurt humans. And then there was this, I think in the end of the book, they need to decide if they need to hurt this one or this one, something like that, like a moral problem. But I
Okay.
did not read all of them for sure.
Mhm,
But in any case, it's very hard to
mhm.
know what is like the right thing. And therefore, these systems are very complex to build and to rely on. In high level, of course, we could rely on them. But if you want to be very specific, something related to finance, to law, to I know health, there are
Mhm.
systems that it's hard to make sure that this is right. But that's one
Correct.
thing. I'm going back to the initial questions.
Mm,
What I asked is like what people are writing right now would get them
yeah.
sometimes some false answers.
Mhm.
So, what are these like guidelines they need
Yeah.
to be aware of and need to make something more correct? It's not like 100%, just more
Yeah.
correct.
So two practical tips here. The second one will be retrieval augmented generation, which I'll cover in a second. But the
Yeah.
first is just a little bit of best case practices that we just hammered out, and you'll discover these if you experiment on your own as well. And so if you want to get ChatGPT to produce good answers for you, you want to provide three things. One is a generous amount of context or background information. The second is very simple, concise, clear instructions for what you want out. And then the last thing is give it either a template for how to answer or give it leading examples. Make your answers look like mine here too. And so one example that we have in our training is you're a gym owner and you're training your staff on it's sales training for your staff, and you're training them on when do you ask for a referral so that you're not creepy or salesy or do it at a bad time. And
Yeah.
so what we'd say there is, something like, "Hey, I'm a gym owner. I'm going to train my sales staff. The best way we get customers is referrals. This is like the number one way. So we train all our staff. And it's all background information. And you say, I want you to generate scenarios for my sales training. That's the instruction. And you say, follow these examples, please. Here's a good one. Here's a bad one. And so like for the good one, it's after someone is showing them pride in their improvement. Say, great, I'm so glad you're doing great. By the way, we have a Beachbody Buddy promo. If you want to bring a friend along, they get a free something. And then the bad example would be like in the middle of like weightlifting, like while they're lifting. 3, 4. By the way, did I mention we have a promo? It's 6, 7.
Yeah.
It's a really good promo. 5, like terrible time.
Yeah.
And then so what the AI will do.
I have a worst example if you want to add to your training.
Is it real life? Did this
If
happen?
no, I could just imagine if somebody is gaining weight and you're telling them.
Yeah, sure. If you're not, right, if they're producing terrible results, you ask for a referral.
Of course.
So and that one's interesting because it's quite creative. And so I don't know that the AI would have landed there. It did some other
Yeah.
ones. It will generally think the way you are seeding it, the way you're telling it to think. But if you do that, it'll pump out. And let's say you can ask for 50 of these, 100 of these. One of the big strengths is just ask for a huge quantity and pick the ones you like and throw out the rest. And so quantity
Makes
is a
sense.
big strength of the tool here. It can brainstorm faster than humans by a lot. Are the ideas as creative? Not really. If you have experts in the field, they are more creative. For now,
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe
For
later,
now.
no.
Yeah.
But
For now. This is what we could say for now, for
so
sure.
doing those 3 things, giving it plenty of background information, a clear instruction, and examples or a template to go by, and then you're very likely to get good answers.
Sure.
It also becomes easy to package those as what's called a custom GPT. So you can put them in, and so you only need to do it once. You set it up once, and then you have your sales trainer or your prospecting bot or your customer service bot, or you can build these things fairly quick. We've seen 900% jumps in productivity. We saw a 2000% jump in productivity for marketing content creation. So this, like, get involved now. Like the gains are available now, and this stuff's pretty incredible. I mentioned
Sure. Right.
augmented
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
So
RAG, what we call RAG system, RAG.
correct, yeah. And so if you want very accurate systems, don't worry about 100%. You can't really get these things to be flawless. AI is correlation based. So in the statistics, it's always some error, but you can get that very, very small. You can get up to 99% correct answers, maybe more, maybe a little less, somewhere there with RAG. And so what it's doing there is instead of telling it to answer a question just from its whole internal data, you can provide information or tell it where to browse the information in order to get that answer. So if you're looking for something encyclopedic, you just ask it to go dig around Wikipedia and figure out the answer, or a different encyclopedia if you want. If you're trying to do something for your own products or your company's own information, you can upload that information and then say answer only based on the PDF I'm uploading. Search this legal contract and get me the answer. You can ask it to go through a piece of data and then provide the answer. And that really drastically reduces mistakes. That's another option.
Yeah. And another thing would be to go to your customer care content folder. So in many cases, you have people who are doing customer care support, and they have these files telling them what is the flow of this conversation, what you should answer, so forth. You could just tell the system to go to this kind of folder or to these initial reference document, and then they will be much clearer and based on what you already have in your systems and processes.
Absolutely. This is one of the areas where the larger companies are going to have some advantage over the smaller ones. Larger organizations have already done the work to streamline some of their processes, to outline some of their data. They have standard operating procedures. They're more structured to kind of juice their productivity with these AI systems, which is very cool. It's not where we focus. We can do it. It's not where we focus. But as a small business owner, you have this other thing. So like, let's say you're trying to make a customer service bot. You don't have like thousands of customer service Q&As stored and like ready to upload so you could fine tune your AI system. You just go to ChatGPT, you go, hey, let me tell you, can you interview me about my business and then make an FAQ for me? And just start there. And then it'll
Yeah.
interview you about your business. You answer all the questions. It'll confirm that it knows like, oh, this is what your business is about. You, yeah, okay, cool. Now, what are some questions customers would ask me? And it'll generate a bunch. You can answer them. And you have an FAQ and it took you an hour or less. And now you take your FAQ, you upload it in, and you have your customer service bot, which will use that FAQ to answer questions. And then you use it, and every time it has an incorrect answer, let's say 2 out of 10 times it's incorrect, which is terrible. Good. Take those, add them to the FAQ, update it, and then it'll be 1 out of 10 times, 1 out of 100 times. And before you know it, you're there. So
Yeah.
as a small business, like you could catch up really quick on some of the like, I don't know, robust resources that larger organizations have.
Yeah. What are the key things business owners need to know before they start using ChatGPT?
Key things to know. Yeah, it's not going to be trivial. Um, you're going to engage a system that is not a fact machine. It's not 100% accurate. We covered that one, but this is a key thing to know. My recommendation on the key thing to know, but my recommendation is focus on making productivity gains with ChatGPT for high volume, very basic work. A lot of people will jump in and say, hey, well, can it solve this legal problem? And I'm a lawyer and it's like the hardest legal problem I recently had. Why test it on that? Like, no, it can't do that. Yes. But the stuff you have your intern doing, like it can run circles around your intern, like, and do all that stuff. Law in particular is in an interesting place because ChatGPT is actually quite good at searching a legal document and identifying issues, especially if you give it an instruction the type of issue it's looking for. Very good at describing what the issue is and providing a potential fix. Like, can do a lot of the work that some recent graduates from law school are doing. Can also score very high on the LSAT. So
Yeah.
the tool is quite good in law. Legal practices are in a lot of trouble. We're excited to work with small law firms because the opportunity to make big gains is available. So one recommendation I would make is focus on getting productivity gains in that high volume, repeatable business work that has to happen every day that's boring, because you can get it done 5 and 10 times faster. And that's a dramatic cost reduction. And then by all means, take that time savings and reinvest that in product quality, build an AI powered product. Do the hard stuff by all means, but take the low hanging fruit now. Like, it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to a small business. Just
Right.
take that and then reinvest by all means.
Yeah.
Um,
You mentioned interns in legal interns,
mhm,
and the same would be for junior coders, right? So they're doing the more mundane, easiest task, because they're juniors. They're
mhm,
just starting. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or a coder or engineer. It
mhm,
doesn't matter. This your initial work would be easier than someone
mhm,
who's more experienced. Makes sense. And I always, when I go back to this, is I have like a cycle of understanding in my head. I would love to hear what you're thinking.
mhm,
If right now we need less junior coders and less experienced lawyers and so forth,
mhm,
okay, right now, because the job could be done, or it could be photographers or video editors or marketers, doesn't matter,
mhm.
taking all the junior ones. You're
Yeah.
saying, okay, I need less interns,
Mhm,
as you mentioned in legal intern. What would be like in 5 years? They will not gain the experience, right?
mhm,
So they will not be as experienced as the ones who have like 10 years experience right now.
mhm,
And then they would need to have a different type of even profession, I would say, or like type
mhm.
of role within the company in order to gain these experiences and to get better
Yeah.
in what they're doing. So
Yeah.
how do you see that?
Okay. So I hope I didn't say, people will lose their jobs over the bit. We'll have less of this necessary. I think the opposite will happen. I think we will have more software. We won't have less software engineers. The software engineers just got the world's coolest software tool, and it's about to get a lot better. And so
Mhm.
they'll they'll just be making way more software. Now
Mhm.
there are growing pains there, but I don't think we're going to have less legal interns and less software engineers and less writers. We don't have to do that. We don't have to go down that path. There are companies that may choose to go down that path, but I would hope that somewhere else a company sees the opportunity to like bring all those people in, give them the tools, ramp up, and like totally take over the competition, because it's volume. Like the demand for software in the world is so enormous. That's why software engineers get paid so damn much, is because there's a huge demand for software. If there wasn't as high a demand for software, they wouldn't make those incomes. And so it's like the demand supply, the lop side is our demand for software is still tremendous. So like firing your junior coders is crazy. Like just fill the demand, like make everyone go faster and then make more software. So I hope we choose to go in that direction. That is not the complete picture. We can, as these AI tools get better, see tremendous job loss. That is a risk. I hope we do this in a way that the opposite happens. I think you're right about upskilling, but I don't know that you necessarily have to consider it upskilling. It's not necessarily harder to be a software production manager than it is to do software engineering. I think software engineering, you could call them parallel skills. I don't know, but like, it isn't obvious to me that like managing a group of software engineers to create a product is
No, I
like
didn't mean.
harder than
I
the
didn't
other.
say like manager. I meant more experienced and senior developer. Someone who understands the code in a very high level
Yeah,
could understand if a co-pilot had some
yeah,
kind of mistake in their coding, right? And if you're a junior one, you would probably, it will take you much longer in order to understand what is the type of mistake that you need to fix, like finding the bug in the code that you got,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay, so there's technical seniority or technical experience, and then there's
Yeah.
checking the AI systems. Those are all valid issues. And then there's more senior or more experienced or at a higher level. And so I want to basically inspire people to think in terms of horizontals as opposed to verticals. So on the points of like becoming more capable at the as in the senior software engineers more capable than a junior and can use these tools more effectively. Yes, I agree 100%. In terms of the hierarchical stuff, so you didn't mention it, but I want to bring it up here. I think we have to start thinking in terms of steps to the left and to the right and co-working with AI tools. Like in the same way that our jobs changed from when 95% of the labor force was male and 95% of the labor was manual labor. Like, we're not there. We've shifted to where a whole bunch of it is cognitive. Now we might shift back, right? The machines might do a lot of the cognitive work, and we may go back. Like, for example, I teach free diving on the weekends, and like my free diving on the weekend job, not in danger of being disrupted by AI. But like our corporate training business, my day job, like who's going to hire us to teach people how to brainstorm? Like, they're just going to go to ChatGPT and ask for ideas. So um, I think we have to think a little bit more in terms of horizontal shifts in the labor market. It's
Hmm.
not necessarily like everyone needs a PhD now where they had a bachelor's before. Not really.
Yeah, I agree. So we have a questions from one of our LinkedIn
Hey,
users, Yogab Nazarlanian. I'm not sure I said it, pronounced it yeah, well. Is it possible to use AI for customer mind reading, predicting their needs on their behavior, something like eye tracking for neuromarketing? What do you think?
I'm
I,
sure
I,
it's possible. Not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that in general, AI systems are doing predictions right now. This is
mhm,
what they're doing with the algorithm that is like in your social media, for example, or in any other sales and marketing tool. They're trying to predict what would be the next move and who would be converged into a client from a lead to someone that you could sell to.
mhm.
So currently, this is what they're doing. I guess they will be more robust with the fact that they could get more and more data. So they could get data based on where have you been.
Mhm.
If we're talking about the context window, right? So how many points of data you have before you do the decision of the next word, right? So
Mhm.
if it could be like forever, like what we saw in the latest, I think Microsoft demo day, right? In
Mhm.
the AI. So if you just imagine that you know everything that your customer have done in the last day, for example, before he came to your website, and you could know what is the points to predict that he's going to buy something or something else, of course, you could do
Yeah,
that.
I think you can do this. There's credit card data, recent purchase data. There's a lot of data you could use to try to predict consumer behavior for eye tracking, neuromarketing. If if you have a webcam on while they're on the website, can you do that stuff? You have privacy questions here too. Most of this stuff is possible. I think the question that can be asked on top of this is how how do you do it for the AI buyer? So what's going to happen at some point is I will have an AI bot that goes out and does my shopping. I'm not. Why would I do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many years, but that's going to happen. And so marketing has to shift over not to marketing to the humans, but marketing to the bots. And then that's just going to be weird. Like I don't have any answers. Like that's a paradigm
Yeah.
shift. So I
Yeah.
can take creative guesses, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like for
Thank you.
example, you might be able to program your AI bot to shop like you do, and they'll just shop like the humans. So that's an easy transition for the
Yeah.
marketer. Or it might be you tell your AI bot, ignore all of the ads, only read the nutrition labels. I want these ingredients. And so then it's like, stop selling
Yeah.
people sugar. Like don't
Yeah.
put a healthy name on the front and then on the back it's full of added sugar. Like don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if people would give up shopping, which is one of their addictions and they love doing it,
Ah,
but they might do something else. Like, thank you for your question. It reminds me of the dating app Bumble. Do you know this dating app? So it was created by a woman entrepreneur. I don't remember her name. And she said that in the future, you might have a bot that is let's say your own assistant, your own avatar. He would say, okay, I'm looking for this, I am interested in this, my hobbies are this, and he would go to blind dates for other people's bots.
that's
And
funny.
then you would not need to go through all these blind dates, and you could just go and see these interactions and then decide based on the interactions of these two bots that are representing you and another person, and then decide. So that would be one of the cases that I would say, okay, so it's like you need to predict who is more or less the right match and then try to mimic more or less what could be done there. And based on just understanding the interaction, you would say, okay, I have more confidence that, yeah, that's the right person I want to meet. But I don't think they will decide for us on that either. It's just another step on the way as I see it.
Yeah, I think people will retain the things that they're interested and excited about. For example, I hate shopping. So like if somebody could go just buy me clothes that look right and fit right, like it's just
Uh,
great. I don't have to think about it.
I,
It just
I know how to say it, but you're a man.
it's
Okay,
true.
so that's what I can say. Okay,
That's
what
true.
advice would you give to small business owners
Mm.
who are
Mhm.
just starting to explore the world of AI and ChatGPT, and what would be the best like beginners use case for them?
Yeah, if you're just beginning to explore, I think there's a lot of fun things to try. If you can code, go grab the API and start playing with the API and see the kinds of things you've learned. The best thing to do is start building because you're going to come up with interesting ideas, build something new, try something out. I would say if you're a small business owner, one of the other things to consider is you want to experiment and get messy and try out things like see if the bot can answer a difficult question or do a particular task maybe that you can't do or translate something like my business operates in one language. Can I get it to operate in multiple languages? Like can the bot help with that? So try things out and get messy. And then give equal amount of time to streamlining what you learned and seeing if the bot can do it quickly. So have fun experimenting, not just with what it can do, but experiment also with can it do it consistently, low errors, high speed. And so when you find some of those, things it can do in your experimentation and you bring them over to like get them streamlined and get them running fast with low errors, you'll discover some real valuable opportunities
Yeah.
in your
Another
outside of
thing,
the low hanging fruit. Some of these are obvious, like answer customer emails, repurpose marketing content. Like there's some very easy wins that you can go grab today, but beyond that, you can experiment for some real
yeah. Another thing that I would say, you should take something which is low risk
wins. Mhm,
and something that is internal at the beginning. Most
mhm.
people would say, okay, I'm not going to expose all my clients' data, and I'm not sure it's too risky. And I know, like, how would it be for my PR if they say something that I'm not sure I should say or something like that? If you
Yeah.
start small with something which is internal, for your own processes, you learn what you should do and what we shouldn't do, and you're not exposing yourself to more of these risks that you might have if you're doing it like big time.
Yes, absolutely. I think in the experimentation, you're going to find hallucinations. You're going to learn when they happen. You're going to develop some fluency and some intuition around like, hey, what does the bot do well and like what can't it do? And then sometimes it will surprise you when you ask it again. Hey, the last time I tried it, couldn't do this. Now it can. That's kind of fun. And so I think having a playful attitude in your experimentation with it is absolutely
Yeah, for sure. So we have another question. Now I'm going to pronounce his name well.
right. Okay.
Yaghaub Nazaralian. Ah, it was better this time, I hope. One of the
Thank
most
you. Yep.
important application of AI can be estimation of children and students' mental adaptability and intelligence. What do you think about it?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's the kind of educational assessment you can do in real time on the fly, and then you can adjust the education as you go. This is really cool. So, one of the big calls to action for the realm of learning and development in general is if you can't get humans to learn faster and better, then we will fall dramatically behind what AI can do because the AI engineers are improving AI's capabilities exponentially. So we have to get humans learning fast. Like there's a huge call to action for people in learning and development. Um,
Yeah,
Specifically for children. Like I have a son. I'm like, Jesus, what job is he going to do in 20 years? What's how, in a world dominated by, AI, what's he going to do? And so it's a very real a very real challenge, a very important area. Um,
yeah,
I can think out loud about like, where could we aim that we would get big wins in that universe? Um, but beyond just some creative thinking right here, right now, like I don't have
yeah,
pre-considered answers. I don't
yeah.
know if we can go fast enough. It's a very real concern. Great
Yeah,
question.
yeah. The question is about the estimation of
Mhm.
children's and students' mental adaptability and intelligence. And I think the big problems with education is not with measuring the kids, with specific tasks that they must accomplish or a specific topic that they must know about. I think that the real challenge here is to find the challenges of each specific student and therefore not measuring them on the same specific task for everyone, because some of them would be good in math, some of them will not. So AI could help us find this unique personalized intelligence that each one of them has. And for me, this is more interesting than trying to measure if they're doing something well or not.
Mhm.
And as I see it, all of the education system would need to rethink again, what does it mean to know something? Because right now, maybe I did not do all the exercise and did all the training on the way, but I could just ask someone and he will help me. So the knowledge um, value is so low, right? I'm
Mhm.
not saying that if you want to be a brain surgeon, you don't need to learn, but I'm
Right.
saying that the educational system is rehearsal in many cases, and it has no value right now. So what do they really need to know? So your son, what does he need to know right
Yeah.
now in the educational system in order to have a better life afterwards? And
Yeah.
that's
Or
the
even
question.
which behaviors does he need, or which emotional states does he need to harness, and what specific skill sets does he need to develop, or even which directions does he need to go in. So, for example, if you could give advice to students looking for kind of what do I study in school so I can get a good job later, computer science and like maybe a handful of other fields would have been the suggestion, where everything else is just, it's okay, but it's really not accelerating nearly as fast.
Yeah.
On the point of psychological assessment, using AI for psychological assessment more broadly, because I think the last question was about this too, right? Psychological
Yeah.
assessment of the customer's buying behavior, here's psychological assessment of students
Hmm.
or other mental ability. I think if you're doing psychological assessment using AI to do, it's a really interesting, just an interesting space. Um, and then there'll be parallels in assessment of AI models and how they're thinking and what they're doing, because some of the reasoning is going to be internalized. That hasn't quite happened yet, but they're going to be basically generating answers they only themselves view, generating answers, evaluating their own thing, and doing multiple iterations before they give you a final output. And that'll improve the final output. But that internal thinking that the AI is doing is a whole other area in parallel, like what are humans.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do
You're right.
stand the chance here with better AI systems to make some insane discoveries about biology. So psychology here and psychological assessment, but then also there's a fun one. They're trying to use these systems to decode the language of whales, listening to whale songs and seeing if they can reproduce and project back some of the things we learn. If we can learn to speak as whales do, and we can communicate with them, what does that mean? And can we discover that there have been other intelligent forms of life here on Earth for a long, long time? And if that's true, what implications does that have? So the possibilities here, I don't know how big or small the possibilities are, but the possibilities are really, really exciting.
Yeah, you're right. We have a mountain who says,
Mhm.
what is my son going to do in the world of AI? Become a plumber.
That's
So
quite possible.
yeah, that could be. In general, I think that doing things in the real world that right now is a bit like underestimated. People are doing like blue collar work is like, yeah, it's like less than white collar. And at the beginning, when we thought about what are the jobs that in the innovation world and technology, what would be less, and people thought, yeah, less like work for manufacturing, mechanics. People are doing blue collar work, but
Mhm.
right now what we're seeing that most of the advancements are in the white collar, as you mentioned, the legal, financial, coding. They're all like white collar jobs.
Mhm.
And I think that as I don't know what my kids need to learn. It's not that I know, but maybe the value of some of these like capabilities, like human capabilities, like therapists
Mhm.
or things that are more like, like yoga, meditation, spiritual work. I don't know. I don't have any clue, but I guess that these things would be valued differently in the world, that much of the more technical work is done better by machines. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's fun to think about the economics of it. So yeah, a plumber or I do free diving instruction on the weekends. Like there's not going to be an AI bot free diving instructor like
Yeah.
at least not yet,
Yeah.
right?
Free diving
So
mean that you go into like without the gas tanks. This is what you're
correct.
saying?
Yeah, you hold your breath, you swim down in the water, you come back up. Don't take too long. Yeah,
Oh, how long should you be down? Like
I,
3 minutes, 5?
I do 3 and 5 minutes would be very, very like athletic performance, like top
Oh,
athletes can do maybe
okay.
3, maybe 5 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
very, very good. My dives are a minute 15, a minute. Some of my students are doing 65 feet, which is probably 40 seconds or so. 50,
Wow. I'm not going to be one of your students. It
yeah. Okay,
reminds
no
me of a
problem.
movie. It reminds me of, but it's really good to know how to breathe so well. So it's a
It
good,
is a
like,
breath practice, yeah. Mhm.
it's very important. So there
Like
was like,
yoga or something else, yeah.
yeah, and it's important for the body and for the mental capabilities. And like, it reminds me of a movie. There was this movie, Blue,
The big,
Blue, Big Blue, something like that,
the big
right?
blue. It's two the free divers. They're competing, right? It's a French
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
It's
you're
quite
right.
good.
I loved it. It's a
It's
really
awesome.
good movie.
It's
Yeah, you're
fantastic.
right. So AI is not in that direction for sure. So
Yeah. So we have some of these jobs, like there's a kid who came over our apartment a couple months ago to clean out the dryer. There's dryer lint in the duct. So he comes over,
mhm.
pulls the dryer, jumps over behind the dryer, plugs in the thing, turns on a machine, and got the job done in 30 minutes. And now the dryer works a little bit better. Wish
Yeah,
whatever, it works better. He did his job. Give him a
yeah,
tip.
it
And
makes
then
sense, like when we're thinking about doing physical work, I think that we got in this modern world so many things which are more like so
mhm,
easy to do, and we
mhm,
got too comfortable. Like everything could be
mhm,
delivered to our house. We don't need to walk, like to not to work, not to shop, not to eat anything. I could just
mhm,
sit on the sofa all day, right? Maybe
mhm,
with my laptop or mobile. That's it.
yeah,
And I get everything that I need. And going back to something which is more like physical, like doing
mhm,
free diving or cleaning or
yeah,
of fixing things or being a plumber in that case,
mhm,
will make us move more, and maybe it's better because we need to at least
yeah,
use our
maybe.
bodies sometimes.
So the kid jumps over the dryer, comes back, blah, blah, and I'm imagining, oh, if a robot needed to do this, a giant robot climbing over my dryer, and then so it's like, okay, so it wouldn't be a giant robot, it would have to be small. How small until it can do kind of any job? Would we need like
Right.
really tiny drones and a little swarm of drones, and they go in the thing and they clean out the duct, and they can do your dishes the same, like a swarm of little drones? I like,
Yeah.
how far does the robotics have to get to replace those jobs? And it's not insane. Probably, I don't know, somewhere inside of 10 years, even those blue collar jobs will largely be done by machines. Best guess. I don't know, but best guess. So
Yeah.
what do the economics look like? And this is tricky because in the white collar world, with a lot of cognitive labor, as the AI start doing the work, are we going to lose labor force and there'll be less people, richer, but less of them? Or are is the demand for cognitive work high enough and growing, and we'll actually get more people? So they'll kind of all grow. Or we're going to get more white collar work just at a higher level of operation, as you described earlier,
Yeah.
managing the AIs to do the work. And so that's one unknown. And then the other unknown is the economic value of the plumber, the electrician, the free dive instructor, et cetera. Is the economic value of those people going to go up? Like, will prices for those things go up as we get richer from the AI tools, or are they going to lag? And the economic questions here are unknown. They're good guesses from people better at economics than me,
Yeah.
um, but it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I think that there are so many big questions about what is the meaning of labor for people.
Mm-hmm,
So, yeah, this is a way to earn money. That's right. But
mm-hmm,
most people, when they go to work, there it's not only for earning money. Some of
mm-hmm,
them do, but they want to do something which is they're curious and you want to learn and they want to be active. They want to be part of a workforce. They want to have like meet people on the way. They want to be productive. They want to whatever. People want to do stuff, right?
mm-hmm,
And hopefully they do it while they're working in their own role and position. Some of them are not maybe pleased with what they're doing, but in
mm-hmm,
general, first they need to earn money. The question is, how would you earn money if AI is doing your work? That's one thing.
mm-hmm,
And second one, who is responsible for you? Like, do we want to be dependent on the governments? I don't think so. And the second one is like, what would you do? So let's say like 2 months a year, you're going on vacation to Bermuda, right? And
yeah.
it's like so much fun, right? But doing it again and again and again each year, even if you have the money, let's say you have the time and money, is it like enough purpose in your life? I don't know. Maybe my kids would have more relaxed life and they would know how to enjoy themselves more than I do. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something very fundamental in the psyche of a person, right?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And then I think what's interesting here is what about the psyche of the AI? And so I'd have a question for you here, which is how long do you think until we start to get um, indications that AI is alive, not just intelligent? So an indication would be someone marries their AI, or an AI wins as a plaintiff in a legal battle. They actually win as an AI,
Yeah,
or an AI system uh, owns and earns income in the economy, or AI gets a copyright for art of
yeah,
some kind of any one of those or multiple of those. When do you think we'll start
yeah.
getting them?
First, I
And
think that
or we never, which is fine.
yeah. First, I think it's already here. So you have people in Japan marrying robots, and once they have more intelligence, it will be a spouse for them as a normal
Yeah.
person.
Yep.
The same goes for a legal battle. We already know that they're doing AI is I calling them, but it's like these AI
Mhm.
assistants. They're much better than many of the lawyers. The same goes for doctors for
Mhm.
understanding what is wrong with the patient and doing the
Mhm.
initial examination. Sometimes they're better.
Mhm.
So they're already here. You could see what's going on with replica,
Mhm.
that you have a spouse or you have a friend and it's like an assistant. It's a chat, and the only thing missing right now is just to a chat to attach an avatar that would be that would talk and would have a voice. And
Yep.
right
Like
now
what
they
you.
have only like 2D images, and it needs to be animated. It's very easy just to do that.
Mhm.
So we're there already. I think the question is not if they're human, it's that we perceive them as human because they know how to understand our emotions. They know how to express emotions as humans because they learn from us, and they know how to have humor, and they know how to be sarcastic. So what do we perceive as human? And I say it's already here.
Mhm.
We're just having a small gap of making it more efficient.
Mhm.
We have some gaps in performance right now. It might take them longer, to give the answer. It's sometimes it's a bit creepy for us, and we're not sure we want to have these kind of interactions. But the capabilities are here.
Mhm.
So the question is, how do we perceive the interaction as users?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So already here and counting.
Yeah. It reminds me of the movie Her. Do you remember
Yeah.
this movie?
Mhm.
So you could see what's going on in the latest demos from OpenAI demo day. Did you see that?
Mhm. You're talking about when
So
they turn on the video and then they kind of have a live interaction with the
right,
bot? Yeah.
and one of these like demos were was for he was going for an interview in OpenAI, and
Huh?
she talked to him. This assistant, she talked
Mhm.
to him, and it was exactly as the movie here.
Wow.
And it was like the way that she talked to him was very natural and feminine and very like spicy, and he it was so human because did you see it that he placed a hat, a very like stupid hat, like a traveling hat, like he
Uh,
would go for hiking, and he placed this
Yeah.
hat on his head, and he said, "Do you think I should take this hat to the interview?" And she laughed and she understood that it's not the right context, that you would not get the job. So
That's
the
funny.
fact that they had this friendly conversation, and
Mhm.
you could have someone that would talk to you, and what we know for sure that we have so many lonely people right now. We have
Mhm.
them, and this is a need that people need. They don't want to be alone, and they want to interact with someone, and it's calming and soothing for them to not be alone. So right now we have these
Mhm.
capabilities. The question is, what would people do with it? But
Yeah.
that's the only question.
We'll find out quickly. Yeah. I know,
Yeah,
I know I'm focused on small business owners and helping them sort of be successful in their businesses. And then that means contributing in your community and supporting your family and all the things that means for a small business owner. But there's artists, there's young people, there's all military, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of parts of our society that could use these tools in interesting and new ways. And it's going to change our culture.
for sure.
So we
And
live in crazy times.
for sure. So, what are some potential risks and challenges associated with using ChatGPT in a business setting?
So one of the things to know is that you'll want to be careful if you're building something that is client facing. And the reason for that is hallucinations and error rates. They can make mistakes. And so this is the same warning that they make in a medical context or in a legal context. Yes, these systems are very good, oftentimes better than humans, but that doesn't mean you go directly to your customer with it. You want to do your quality control, right? You want to make sure the output that it's producing is sound and can go out. So that's one risk of using it in your business. Another one, this is less like don't do the hard stuff first. So another risk is you go and you look at these tools and oh my God, they're so powerful. I'm gonna rebuild my product. It's like, don't do that first. Like use the tool to improve productivity in the easy places to do it. Make an extra, four or $500,000, whatever the number is for your business. And then by all means, make a new product, test out the new product and see if it goes. So I think another risk is just getting too excited and like doing like the crazy thing first. Now there are timetables, of course. So if you see a need and you're like, I have to seize this now and I have to move quickly, then by all means, that's an entrepreneurial decision. You can, figure out how to make those. But there are some really easy ways to improve productivity and just immediately make, like if you double, we've seen 5x productivity gains, 20x productivity. If all you do is double productivity across your business doubles. Like just do
Yeah,
that first. Now,
right.
if you're improving productivity, it won't be that smooth. It's going to be like a little bit from sales and then a little bit more on the fulfillment side. And a little bit. So, of course, there are growing pains, as with all business growth. But do the easy stuff first. I think that's a sort of
Yeah,
piece of advice
yeah,
I would.
yeah. We're almost done, and I have like two questions I always
Yeah, yeah.
ask all my guests.
Mhm.
So, what is your number one tip for managers and leaders today?
What organization size? So we're thinking larger organizations.
Yeah, let's think about like business owners, which are small,
Mhm.
medium, and how
Mhm.
is it different for bigger organizations as you see it?
Managers, leaders. So probably the next thing to get ready for is AI agents. And my best guess is that the AI models will improve fast enough. And this is coming from Leopold, something or other. Situational awareness is the piece that he did. I'm happy to send it over. It just came out a couple of days ago. It has largely to do with developing super intelligence and what that means and how fast it's going to happen. And he's making a big case that this has to be done by democratic places. It's going to end up behind the military, security, et cetera, we really need to do this before authoritarian forces do it faster or something like that. And you can take that for what it's worth, come to your own conclusions, your own opinions. But within it, what he's calling out is that it's very likely that within 2.5, 3 years, 2027, 2028, somewhere in there, you are likely to get AI workers that are as easy to onboard in your organization as a human. Do any remote work that doesn't require a body, right? So video editing, coding, etc., lots of writing, legal review, lots and lots of stuff that any worker can do remote. We all learned during COVID what can be done remote. That's quite a lot. So you'll be able to onboard those types of employees. So if you're a leader or a manager and that's coming, you have some time to prepare, to research, to learn this stuff, and to just be ready to lead and manage not just a small team of humans, but a small team of humans plus 1, 2, 10, 50, 1,000 AI agents that do work very, very rapidly. So the clip of work is going to increase. Your job from now until then, if you can pull this off, is figure out where the work is going to go faster, because I could just farm it out to AI agents, and then figure out what human labor needs to be done so that the work you farm out is effective at whatever your goals are. So I'll say that from the start, you're going to have access to 10, 100, thousands of AI agents that you can drop into your organization that can kind of join your Zoom meeting, join the Slack channel. They'll have access to email and the calendar. Like they'll have all the normal human access to stuff. And they'll be able to go off and work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year on whatever you farm out to them. That is a new resource that you're going to get. So between now and then, be ready so that you could plug that in and, scale up like crazy. So that's my advice for like leaders, managers, business owners for slightly larger teams. You're going to get a farm of AI agents. And if it's not in 3 years and it's in 5, I'm sorry. It came later, but that's
Yeah.
still like tomorrow. It's insane that this is coming so fast.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Wow, that was a good tip. So, where could people hear about you and your work more and contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. Innovationbound.com. The easiest thing that we can do with zero risk is we will build your first ChatGPT tool to accelerate one of the important work tasks in your business. So if you're a small business owner, reach out. We'll build it to you. You pay $0 up front. Like you don't pay anything. We'll build it for you. And then at the end, you look at it, you test it. And if you feel it's valuable and it works for you and it's producing results, you can buy it from us or roll that money into a training program. And we'll do a training program for your staff and basically get you doing all of this fast. So you can go out and do it on your own. You could take the online classes, you can do the experimentation, and like more power to you by all means. But if you want to go fast to get this done in 30 days or less, we're happy to partner with you.
Wow,
And
that
again, no
sounds
risk
good.
up front. We'll build your first bot. We'll prove it works. If we can't, then you found out this little bit didn't work here.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Thank you, Costa. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always.
always a pleasure.
Thank you. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. I invite you to sign up to my new online leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI, designed to equip leaders with the skills to build successful generative AI products. And I'll see you next week with another innovative, insightful talk. See ya.